Hello YouTube, welcome back over to GamingHouse, and today I'm going to be reviewing Assassin's Creed Unity. Right off the bat, I'm going to get this out of the way. We're going to go over all the bad technical stuff first. I did experience frame rate loss due to the massive amount of NPCs. I had screen tearing during cutscenes, and I have several instances, which I'm going to put in annotations right about here or so, where I have glitched through the map and fell through, and it was kind of funny / hilarious and frustrating. I also had an instance where a glitch occurred and I could no longer attack enemies and enemies couldn't attack me, and it was in co-op and it carried over into free roam co-op, and it was irritating. So now that that is done and out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and get into the other main topics and such. The story is your run-of-the-mill, same as always with any other Assassin's Creed, alright? Guy experiences loss of a loved one, joins the assassins, does a bunch of assassiny stuff, pisses off the order, and does a bunch of other stuff, and there you go. There's your spoiler-free kind of run-of-the-mill story. So if you're familiar with all the other stories in Creed, it's nothing new, exciting in here. Gameplay-wise, the best I could sum it up with is now, as an assassin, you are no longer overpowered. Combat feels a lot more difficult than it did in the previous Creeds. You can't spam parries and all that like you used to. You gotta wait for a certain cue to pop up and everything. Enemies do a lot more damage depending on level. None of your usual abilities that are available off the bat, such as double assassinations and all that, are available. Instead, you must unlock them through skills and all that, which I kind of like implemented in the story, because you don't start off as a master badass assassin, kind of how you usually do in the other ones. Another nerf to the assassin is Eagle Vision is no longer always constant. Eagle Vision is now on a cooldown and actually has a limited radius, meaning you can no longer rely on that as much as you would in the previous games. Getting over to movement speed, it's still semi-clunky as usual. I always having issues where I'm free running and then I'm not even holding A and such, and it'll jump on a table, and then I sit there for 2 minutes trying to get off the fucking table and all that. So movement and all that's still just the same. I'd say the descending buildings is a lot easier now with their hold right trigger and B. Getting into the customization aspect, which anyone who knows me and all that, I am a sucker for customization in games. And this one's got plenty of it. You're no longer just selecting outfits and all that for your character. You are selecting actual pieces of gear from your hood, chest, all the way down to your boots and belts. And I really like that. Unfortunately, it's stat-based, which is good in the sense because now you can actually tailor your assassin to either be kind of more tankish, going through the front doors, killing everyone in your pathway, to either a ranged guy sitting back with rifles and other ranged abilities, to also a fully stealth out assassin to where you're harder to be noticed. Your stealth kills are actually harder to hear, which took me the longest time in game to figure out why I'd always be discovered when I stabbed someone in the back. There's also plenty of weapons in the game, and finally we actually get to have rifles or muskets as a primary selection, which I have wanted since Assassin's Creed 3, and it hasn't been in there. We got plenty of weapons in here, ranging from one-handed to long, what they call long, but it's just like pole arms and all that, or halberds, to heavy weapons, which consist of claymores, big clubs and all that, which I gotta get this complaint out there now. Their claymores and big swords look like shit. Alright, it's like half your claymore is just a sword with a really, really long hilt. And that's not what a goddamn claymore looks like. Google what a claymore looks like, and that's not a goddamn claymore. And in addition to those, you also have your usual pistols, and again, rifles. And as with the other ones, of course, weapons are stat-based as well, which is unfortunate, because now you gotta pick and choose what weapons you want. Luckily for me, though, my preferred weapon is the katana, and that's one of the, 5-star tier weapons, which is only beat out by legendary weapons. So that works out for me, but for others that may like the other sabers, or the scimitar, which I used for a little while there, you will eventually have to ditch that if you want an actual, better weapon. Next up is going to be the co-op, which is a first for Assassin's Creed. Well, not really at first. They had Wolfpack in the other ones, but this is actually fully dedicated co-op, doing missions and etc., not just running around with your head cut off, killing random targets. And there is also no more multiplayer in this one. They took out multiplayer, it's been fully replaced with co-op. Co-op is hella fun. The co-op actual missions range from anywhere between 2 to 4 players, with more of the harder stuff being 4 players. And this opens up a wide variety. Remember how I just talked about all the building your guy to a certain spec and specialization and all that? Well, this is where it comes into play. You can be a role. Everyone could be running in there doing their own thing. A guy could be running up, be a distraction, actually draw a lot of attention, opening up routes for other players to do stealthy kind of things. And in addition to your usual assassin skills, there are also co-op skills which could be implemented, including the ability to have your eagle vision highlight enemies, and when they do, your other teammates can see them as well without using their eagle vision, or the ability to resupply everyone, and a whole bunch of other skills to assist your teammates. Issues with co-op, however, is of course when lag starts to happen, it gets a little fucking crazy. People will be warping places and all that, but when co-op is running smooth, it is running smooth and fine. Getting towards the end here, we're also going to talk about the world they created. You're in Paris, France, if you don't already know that at this point in the video. So no more naval stuff and all that. However, it's all back to urban. Scale practically all the buildings. There's a lot more interiors of buildings you can go into now, including full-size buildings such as mansions and all that. Especially in the co-op ones in heist missions, you do go into buildings to go steal stuff, which is a good feature for that. They also got what they like to claim is 5,000 NPCs on screen at once, which is a cool feature to see. But one of the reasons that everyone will say, and I will say for frame rate drops and everything else, is when all those NPCs get on screen and you can feel it definitely. And an additional side note before we get to the final score of the game, the future side of the story is finally tossed a little bit more to the side. You are not ripped out of the Animus to go do real world bullshit, which I'm so happy about that. No one that I talk to likes that stupid crap with back when you had to be Desmond and all that. That's ripped out. Unfortunately, also got kind of what kills the immersion is you have these rifts, and these rifts break into time. You end up going into different times period as an assassin, which to me kind of breaks the immersion because it feels like you're playing as an assassin, not being an assassin in the game, if you can kind of catch my drift. With all being said, the final score for the game, I would give it a 6 out of 10, and that is purely on preference and more of a technical side of things that are bringing the score down. Without all the bugs and everything else going on in this game. Oh, and microtransactions, by the way, because I forgot to mention that. There's microtransactions in this game, which is a bad, that's a no, that's a slap someone in the face kind of a idea someone had. But people can find enjoyment in this game, especially if you are playing the co-op. The co-op is definitely where it's at and can add some longevity to the game, and is where real fun and all that happens. Otherwise, it's just your regular tip-of-the-mills Assassin's Creed game. With co-op now, which, again, is awesome, and would have been better if it was more implemented, which I didn't mention earlier, but there's only the co-op missions in free roam that you can do it, which is a shame, because it would score a lot higher if the entire story was definitely co-op and you could play with buddies. And I'm even looking at the box right now, and it's got box art, it's got the fucking 4 players on it. It's like, okay, well, you know, it's marketed as the main thing, and it's not really the main thing. Ubisoft did make steps in the right direction with this game. They did. It's just when they took those steps, they tripped, fell on their face, and now everyone's just kind of looking at them funny. And with that all being said and done with, as always, like, comment, subscribe if you're interested. Twitter's down below if you want to follow for more updates and etc. And as always, you're welcome to come back over to GamingHouse for more gameplay and commentary.